Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy, it's a pleasure, it's always an honor to be greeting you and bring this message of emancipation to you. A message that would set you free. A message that always pointing you to look inwardly and to use your mind power to achieve your every desire. And this message was taught to Neville Goddard by Abdullah, his mentor, the black mystic from Ethiopia. And this is the message that must be taught to all of humanity. For Neville said that Abdullah taught him through Christianity. So true Christianity is pointing you to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. And false Christianity is pointing you to look outwardly to a man who born 2,000 years ago, which is actually a lie. So that's what brings me to the point of speaking to you concerning imagination is everything. So that's what I want to speak to you about. Imagination is everything. And Abdullah taught Neville Goddard that imagination is everything. Now, as we know, Neville was studying with Abdullah for over 5 years, and Abdullah would have taught him that the central character of the Bible is man's imagination, and that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically, that the Bible was not literal or secular history, for it was written symbolically and it had no reference to anyone who existed thousands of years ago, to any actual event that would have taken place on earth thousands of years ago. Abdullah taught Neville that from the beginning to the ending of the Bible, that it's all a great psychological drama and it all have to do with the human psyche. Now, when Abdullah taught Neville Goddard all of these things from the Bible, he also used the Kabbalah also to show him how everything was put together. Then, when he pointed to him that the central character of the Bible was man's imagination, Neville had that knowledge, but it was just theory. But Abdullah wanted him to understand this thing by experience. And that is why experience is your greatest teacher. And you must experience the power of your imagination before you can really say that you believe in this truth or this message of self-realization. So what Abdullah did, Abdullah put Neville in a certain place. And Abdullah did this without Neville ever knowing that you can put one in a state of affluence. And this is written in the Bible in Acts chapter 3 and many other places, that you can actually put one in a place of affluence even without their permission. Okay, so it is always good to do good things towards others and not things to destroy. So this power must always be used creatively to uplift humanity, not to destroy or control humanity. Because unfortunately there are many who are using this same power to control the masses. But when Abdullah uses imagination on behalf of Neville Goddard received what Abdullah was doing on his behalf as a burning desire. And he went to Abdullah and he said, I'm having this strangest feeling. I'm having this burning desire to go back to Barbados. Having left Barbados over 12 years ago, I really feel the need to visit my parents and to spend the Christmas there with them. Abdullah said to Neville, you have already gone to Barbados. And this was a time of Great Depression, and Neville had no work, he had no money. So this was something very hard for him to believe. But the lesson that Abdullah wanted was to teach Neville by experience is that imagination is everything. So if imagination is everything, and you've been educated in school to believe that education is the key to prosperity, then someone been playing with your mentality. Someone wants to control you. Someone wants to sabotage your imagination. Someone wants to sabotage your mental faculties. Like using your intuition, your imagination, your perception, your will, your memory, your reasoning. And that's why they just keep you in the realm of memory only, having you regurgitating what they want you to believe, so that would impress upon your subconscious mind, and the system will have you to be what they want you to be. But Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard through Christianity, pointing him to look inwardly and teach him how he should use his imagination morning, noon, and night, and see himself in his imagination sleeping in his mother's home in Barbados while he was residing in New York, and to see himself also walking the streets of Barbados in his imagination while he was walking the streets of New York. So he was teaching him to live from his imagination, to see things through the eye of imagination, which is through the eye of God. See things through his mind's eye. So my brothers and my sisters, when you look around, you see everything that was made. It was for us imagine. It was for us a thought. It was for us an idea. And the Bible states it in St. John chapter 1 and verses 3, where he says, all things were made by him. And without him was not anything made that was made. And many people who do not think for themselves believe that him is speaking of a man who existed 2,000 years ago. If it was a man who existed 2,000 years ago, or born on the earth 2,000 years ago, what was happening before 2,000 years ago? It's basic common sense. And so, when you realize that the central theme of the Bible is man's imagination, you realize that the him is just a personification of the human imagination, and that many people all around the world has been taking personification for persons and reading allegory and taking allegory for history. That's the reason why Galatians 4 and 24 tell you that the story of Abraham and Sarah and Hagar and so on, that it's an allegory. And if they tell you that the Christ or Jesus came through the lineage of Abraham, and he changed the lineage of Abraham, and the lineage of Abraham is allegory, then it means the Jesus and Mary story also is allegory. So my brothers and my sisters, imagination is the key. Imagination is everything. Before you can even speak a word, you know, sometimes I marvel when people open their mouth and speak to me and tell me I'm an atheist, tell me I do not believe in God, for teaching them the truth. And by their trying to prove me wrong, they actually proving me right, because a word is a thought expressed, and anything they say I do, it has to first be a thought. It has to first be mental, it has to first be psychological, it has to first be an idea in the mind. It means that there's only two kinds of people living in the world, the wise and the foolish. So Abdullah was teaching Nevill how to be wise. And that is why my brother and my sisters, I always teach people not to get caught up in intellectualism. True knowing doesn't mean because you read something from a book, or you get something from a teacher, or your parents, or your religious ministers. True knowing is by your own experience. And when a person tells me that they go on their knee and they pray to a God outside of themselves and they get the results, they have to tell me also, when the man who do not believe in a God, believe that God is a man in the sky, and they don't pray that way. They pray according to Psalms chapter 4 and verses 4. Commune with your own heart. Or they pray according to Matthew 6:6. They go into the closet, with the secret place within themselves, and they practice meditation and visualization. How do they get it? And when we go into the science and show the science of the mind and how the mind works, and so on, and show you that how anyone can do this and get the same result, what are they going to say? Do you realize, okay, that many religious people go to their church and testify of how God bless them with house, God bless them with vehicle, God bless them with job, God bless them with so much of money, and so on. And do you realize that the money was never first invented by a Christian? The car was never first invented by a Christian. Nothing great in this world that they depend upon, and they call it a blessing and testify in the church and say that God bless them with that. It ever come from them? It was thinkers, people like me and you, who was willing to vibrate beyond the box that society has trapped everyone in. You must go beyond the camp. You must vibrate higher than the matrix system. So my brother and my sisters, Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard all of these things and how he need to understand everything is energy, vibration and frequency. So Abdullah was setting him on the right frequency to prove for himself that imagination is everything. And that imagination is God in man. For the eternal body of man is the imagination that is God himself. There's no other God, there's no power outside of himself. And nobody can tell me otherwise because of what I would have experienced. I know this is the truth. And the truth can never be proven wrong. That's why you cannot plant pumpkin and reap watermelon. You can't check the laws of the universe. If there was a literal man 2,000 years ago who created all things and he could have turned literal water into wine, why these religious people do not turn literal water into wine, especially now around they're celebrating the so-called Christmas and they love their wine? That's why I wrote a book called How to Turn Water into Wine. So my brother and my sisters, my encouragement to you is to use your imagination. Trust your imagination like Neville trusts his imagination by the instruction of Abdullah. And he went to Barbados first class. And he had no work, he had no money. Money came to him. That's why instead of you kill yourself trying to work for money, let money work for you by tapping in to the power that you can use to achieve your every desire. That's why you're told you must seek first the King of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added on to you. Seek to know who you are first. Identification is key. Get your true identity. But the system have shaped many of us to have false identity. That's why some people say that they are Methodists, some Anglican, some Jehovah's Witness, some Seventh-day Adventists, some Rastafarian, some Muslim. You didn't born that. You're born here as a creator. And you have to be a conscious creator. But you have to learn to trust your imagination. So, my brother and my sister, I think I would have really given you a mouthful there, to chew on. And, I don't need to go on and on. The message I just want to get across is that imagination is everything. Imagination is God. So use your imagination and create your life how you want it to be. That's why you must practice visualization, meditation, breathing, and affirmation. Always say positive affirmation about yourself, because your true self is God. For God and man are one. So, my brother and my sisters, if this is the very first time that you're listening to me and what I'm saying makes sense to you, I'd like to say to you, if you haven't subscribed already, to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share this video. But just before I leave, I just want to remind you that this message I bring to you, that it is the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 says that if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light. And truly it is because my whole body was filled with light when the single eye awakes within me, and I awake from the dream of life and change from mortal to immortality in a twinkling of an eye. That's why I'm here bringing this truth to you. For let me say this, that you would feel that great and mighty shaking, that great earthquake, and you will awake within yourself, and you would hear that mighty rushing wind. And when you ascend, you will ascend like a fiery being, and you come out of your skull and become invisible. You will experience the true resurrection, the true virgin birth. You will experience that the Bible is your spiritual autobiography that must be interpreted psychologically, that it's all about you. And also, you will realize that the Bible is the Son book. For you will realize your experience is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N, and that it is the dawning of a new day in your life. You will also realize that the S-U-N has always existed before there is any S-O-N. That's why no S-O-N could be the light of the world. So this whole Jesus story is a lie, because you will have the experience and prove for yourself that you are the virgin that will bring forth the birth from above. So my brother and my sisters, that's the reason why I always say to you that the sun parallels the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination there isn't anything made that was made. And you're told in Psalms 84:11 that the Lord thy God is a sun. S-U-N, And a shield and no good thing will he withhold from you. And common sense will teach you that the Son hath never withhold any good thing from all of humanity. For the Son is what powers all of humanity and give all of humanity its energy. Then in Malachi chapter 4 verses 2, you're told also that the Son of righteousness shall arise in you with healing in his wings. And truly when the Son has risen in me, I'm bringing healing to all of humanity, pointing each and every one to look inwardly and to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your sun power, your God power, your creative power, which is actually the sexual power. Use that power to achieve your every desire. For that was the message that was taught to Neville Goddard by Abdullah, our ancestor from Ethiopia. And the true message to all of humanity is that your imagination is God, for imagination is everything. So with that, me saying, I want to say peace, love you all, I'm out.